That is in effect for Lucas County until 2:15. Now, if you were with us for our coverage earlier, we have confirmed a tornado that entered into the city of Kenton right around 12:46. A confirmed tornado. Officials are still assessing what could be some damage and the details of that, but it is unclear on what is actually unfolded with that. Brand new as well, a tornado warning that has been extended now into Crawford County. This does include the far southern edge of Crawford County, is there has been a confirmed tornado as recently as just north of Marion as it was crossing Route 23. So multiple tornado warnings have fanned out and extended into this particular storm. It is shown exhibited rotation and has confirmed tornadoes. Tornado warning is in effect for Crawford and Marion County until 2:15 p.m. That is a confirmed tornado warning until 2:15 p.m. So we can actually use Doppler radar to look inside this storm, and we've got meteorologist John Birchfield as well. He's standing by. And John, number one, do you have any new information on what is going on with this storm? And number two, what is the latest with the rotation with this particular cell?
Yeah, Chris, we're keeping a very close eye on the storm tracks as far as what Doppler radar can show us. And in addition to the strong winds, we're seeing the potential for some large hail with that storm, which you mentioned now has a destructive tag. Looking at Erie County in particular, I do want to show you some of the large hail coming out of that. If we can switch over to our Max 2 system to give you an idea of where the most powerful winds are. Right to the south of Sandusky, that is where the heaviest of this storm is located. Just to the north of the Ohio Turnpike there, our velocities are showing you some very powerful winds. Also seeing some large hail, indications that we could see golf ball sized hail out of this powerful thunderstorm right along the lake shore and south of Sandusky. Those bright blue colors and green colors indicate where the strongest of the hail as well as the winds are impacting. An overview of our current active warnings. Of course, we have those powerful severe thunderstorms in Erie and Huron counties. In addition to the thunderstorm threat, there is flash flooding potential once again in Erie County. That shade of maroon, that box right there, that shows you flash flooding that is likely throughout the mid-afternoon as we watch that severe thunderstorm, and of course watching an eye for the rotation with that southern storm as well. And a tornado watch remains in effect for a good portion of eastern and north central Ohio. We're going to keep an eye on that one. That could continue through the evening through around sunset, and the best chance for any sort of rotation and tornadic activity, that is likely to be in this yellow shaded region. That tornado watch is in effect roughly from Lucas County on south towards Finley and on off into eastern Ohio and Pennsylvania and New York. Again, that is where the tornadic threat is the most likely. I want to show you Doppler radar once again to give you an idea of most of the storm activity that is now east of the Toledo Metro, and the storm of greatest concern currently situated in Erie County. It could really pack a punch. It looks like the strongest winds are now to the east of Sandusky as we see those bright orange colors shifting off into eastern Erie and Huron counties. Considerable to destructive damage is possible with some powerful winds that could exceed 70 to even 80 miles an hour. We are looking at velocity, and of course there is rotation with all of these storms, but right now the biggest threat appears to be powerful straight line winds in portions of Erie County. And as I mentioned earlier, it does still have that destructive tag. To give you an idea of that, severe thunderstorm warning looks to be in effect for at least another 25 minutes, so we'll make sure to keep you updated on that one. And we're also watching the rotation on that southern Crawford County supercell thunderstorm that does have a history of producing a tornado, but at least as of now is not actively producing a tornado. We'll keep an eye out for storm reports on that one as well to see if there is any new information on potential new storm reports as well. I want to give you one more overview of all of our active warnings. Again, we do have that far eastern Lucas County severe thunderstorm warning. That one's for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as some large hail with that thunderstorm. But the worst of the storms currently situated in Erie and Huron counties, and keeping an eye on that one in the far southeastern periphery of the viewing area as well. I mentioned the flash flood potential. Erie County seeing some soaking torrential heavy rain out of this in addition to the thunderstorm threat. That includes Sandusky and Huron down towards Norwalk, and that one is tagged by the National Weather Service as considerable to destructive damage with 70 to even up to 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and also the potential for some large golf ball sized hail in Erie and Huron counties as well. And it's a severe thunderstorm warning that you need need to treat seriously. Get indoors, away from those windows and doors, and seek shelter if you do have any outdoor plans this evening. Once again, an overview of all of our active warnings. We have that one that's in far eastern Lucas County out towards the Maumee Bay. Erie and Huron counties also under an active severe thunderstorm warning as well. I do want to show you some lightning safety tips as well, because that's always important. Even if a lot of folks do have outdoor plans on this weekend day, make sure that if you do have friends and family that are out in those severe thunderstorm warnings, namely Erie and Huron counties, those are destructive, powerful storms, and make sure they get indoors, away from windows, away from doors, and treat those with gravity and seriousness. Chris, any new information? I know we're keeping an eye on our sky cams as well, with an eye to the sky too.
Yeah, eyes to the sky, John, no doubt about that one. And you said it right. One of the more serious concerns was that cell that went through Erie County that was producing golf ball size hail, winds to 80 miles per hour. Now, the new information on that, what resulted in that destructive tag to that severe thunderstorm warning for that warning of winds to 80 miles per hour has now moved north of Huron. So that is now over Lake Erie, but there's no doubt going to be some power outages and issues across Erie County, in addition to the flash flooding. And that report out there toward Route 4, NASA Plumbrook, that was for multiple power poles that were toppled over, potentially even impacting some vehicles on Route 4. So some significant wind damage as that storm came through Erie County with winds of up to 80 miles per hour possible. Really heavy rain. And of course, the folks out there towards Cedar Point still getting hit fairly hard. Now, the severe thunderstorm warning, a little bit of good news. It's been allowed to expire for Lucas County, so we do not have that active severe thunderstorm warning. Still going to be recapping the potential of what's been ongoing, that confirmed tornado that happened earlier today, 1246. And you bet we were on air just giving you the heads up that there was a tornado just south of our viewing area. And since then, that cell that has been producing or likely producing potentially multiple tornadoes continues across northern parts of Marion County. They've extended that warning up into southern Crawford County. So southern Crawford County is seeing an active tornado warning, although the circulation seems to be just south of Crawford County, where we've got the heaviest of that lightning. John, if you could take over radar just for a moment and throw up some of our velocity here. That kind of gives us an indication of what we may be seeing as far as spinning in the atmosphere. And John and I were talking just moments ago. And John, as we take a little bit of a closer view of this, right along the southern edge of Crawford County, that's potentially where we're seeing a little bit of that rotation may be occurring. We don't have the best radar coverage in this particular area. So we kind of have to take what we know about the atmosphere, what's going on right now, that these storms have been spinning, these storms have produced tornadoes, that we could indicate, or we could surmise, that there's going to be some rotation potentially still in this area. This is going to be east of State Route 98, and it does look like a brand new warning is coming up. And John, this could actually be a bit of good news. I'll give you a moment to gather the latest information on this, but that is a severe thunderstorm warning that is popping up on the screen, which means that perhaps we're not getting the reports of an active tornado situation on the ground, and hopefully we'll be able to see these tornado warnings expire. That is a severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be in effect until 2:15. Very active situation as these storms continue to move east-northeast at about 35 miles per hour. John, what's the latest on that warning that just popped up?
Yeah, Chris, so some new information on that severe thunderstorm warning as that storm moves off to the east. This one is primarily for the straight line winds and the large hail, which is certainly good news that the tornado warning was not extended. But this storm is still very powerful. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible in that severe thunderstorm warning that is now pushing off to the east of Crawford County, and also hail up to the size of 1 inch in diameter. Some of these severe thunderstorm warnings do have a tornado possible tag that indicates prevailing rotation. I'm not seeing that tag with this severe thunderstorm warning, but we are still keeping an eye on this thunderstorm as it has had the history of producing funnels and even a likely tornado. So we're keeping an eye on rotation that is now well to the south of Bucyrus and is moving in the direction of Mansfield eventually. But again, that severe thunderstorm warning extending to the east, and that one is primarily for the threat for some strong straight line winds, as well as for some large hail as well. And that includes Crawford, Marion, and Morrow counties. And that one goes until 2:15. Also, the National Weather Service did decide to cancel the severe thunderstorm warning for Wyandotte County. So if we can flip it back over to our active warnings here, we do have Crawford County as the focal point. That tornado warning still continues, but it has been extended out to the east, and that yellow box shows you a severe thunderstorm warning. There is still some broad rotation with that storm, but again, it's far southern Crawford County, even to the south of Bucyrus, where the greatest of that threat is continuing. Chris, also also mentioned it, the Lucas County severe thunderstorm warning, that one was allowed to expire as the threat for that storm cell pushed off over the water over the Maumee Bay and Lake Erie, and it's now our focal point on our eastern counties, Erie and Huron counties. Still keeping a very close eye on that. I want to show you Doppler radar. You'll notice that Lucas County storm, that is why the warning was expired, because that thunderstorm moved out over the water, and now much of Lucas County is getting a break from the thunderstorm activity. Most of the action is still to the east. It looks like the heaviest of that severe thunderstorm is now to the east of Sandusky and east of Cedar Point, and the worst of it, at least the destructive element that had the potential for 70 to 80 mile-an-hour winds, the worst of that storm is now over the water and pushing out towards Lorain. And then as far as Huron County goes, the worst of that storm cell is now situated between Norwalk and New London. That vicinity still could see some very potent and powerful wind gusts. Again, broadening out the view, it does look like that tornado warning for Crawford County was allowed to expire there. New information from the National Weather Service. They said the storm that prompted that tornado warning has moved out of the area. So the only active tornado warning on our map is now closer to Marion and no longer includes Crawford or Wyandotte County. But of course, with the history of that supercell thunderstorm, it still does have the potential to spin up a little bit in the atmosphere, and we're keeping a very close eye on that one. But there are no active tornado warnings for our viewing area. Still, just the far southeastern tier of Crawford County is included in that severe thunderstorm warning, and that goes until 2:15. But again, that one is primarily for the straight line winds as well as for the large hail, and we are keeping an eye on those powerful thunderstorms in Erie and Huron counties as well. I want to zoom in and give you a closer look. Again, the worst of that storm cell in Erie County, that is now pushing off to the northeast of Sandusky and the northeast of Huron, north of Vermilion as well, where you see that bright purple color and all of those lightning strikes. That is where the strongest of the wind gusts were impacting earlier. I'm going to pop on the velocity feature. I'm still seeing some strong winds associated with those thunderstorms, but it does look like the worst of the threat is now to the east of Norwalk and east of Sandusky. I want to zoom in closer on Huron County as well. It does look like far western Huron County and locations west of Norwalk, including Willard and Bellevue. The worst of the storm is now cleared off to your east, but Wakeman through New London still getting pounded with heavy rain, lots of lightning, and some strong gusty winds. Those are moving towards Oberlin and Vermilion as these overall storm tracks going from west to east with a little bit of a northerly component as well. And
John,
it does.
A bit of good news here too. That second tornado warning that was just south of Crawford County has also been allowed to expire. So exhibiting not as tight of rotation right now. So the concern of that tornado is not something that is active, at least at this moment. But John, it has had a history of producing tornadoes, specifically over Hardin County, Kenton, and across parts of Marion County. We believe that could have been a supercell that produced what could be a couple or several tornadoes through the course of the afternoon. Yeah,
Chris, we'll keep a very close eye out for storm reports this afternoon, and that really goes to show the type of atmosphere that we're working with today. It is one that not only has the instability from the heat and humidity, but also has some turning or wind shear in the atmosphere. And even though there's no active tornado warnings right now, again, you'll notice just yellow boxes. Those are thunderstorm warnings, keeping an eye out for potential tornadic development. And Chris, I see the map behind you. That is the tornado watch.
Yes.
And that's something we're keeping a close eye on that could still be several hours yet of a potential tornadic threat.
So we'll do a quick recap, and John, then we'll be able to send our folks back to the regularly scheduled programming. The time is now 2:01, and we'll get you back to that in just a few moments. So quick recap, as John mentioned, we do have an active tornado watch that is until 9 p.m. tonight. We've been here all afternoon. We've kept you up to date on air on WTOL 11, on WTOL.com, and on that WTOL 11 weather app. And we will be certain to be back into programming should we need to cover additional storms, but there is no active alert anymore in Lucas County. You are all clear. Our tornado warnings that were on the just southern fridge or just south of our viewing area have been allowed to expire. And the third element that we were watching, and I know folks are going to be hurting out there in Erie County where there's flash flooding that's occurring, but there was a destructive severe thunderstorm that prompted us to stay on air for Erie County that was producing winds to 80 miles per hour and golf ball size hail. That threat also too is diminishing. conditioning. Still do have some active severe thunderstorm warnings, Erie and Huron County, and we still could get winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, but generally those are going to be moving to the east, and that bigger cluster of storms will end up being a significant threat of severe weather into eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania as we go through the course of the afternoon. For now, though, that's going to conclude some of our on-air live coverage, but we'll continue our coverage on WTOL.com and on the WTOL 11 weather app, updating you with what you need to know about the storm threats and the ongoing situation through the afternoon. For meteorologist John Birchfield, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers. We'll send you back to our regularly scheduled programming.